What's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and today I've got another book review for you. Real quick, sorry I didn't get a video out this past Monday. Last week, my family and I went on sort of a last-minute vacation. We were in Florida all week, so I didn't shoot any videos. The videos that I put out last week, what was it, Pet Sematary, The Wolf and the Watchman, and The Shining, were all pre-recorded on Saturday night, I think. We had some friends that said they had an extra hotel room, and they asked us Friday if we wanted to go. Like Saturday evening, we decided we could go. So we packed up all Saturday night, and then Sunday morning we took the 15 or so hour drive down to Florida. So I filmed those videos real quick Saturday night, so there would be something for last week. But I got behind in my videos and my reading last week while we were down in Florida. We had a bunch of fun, so it was all good. It was like 80 degrees all week. And we live in Kentucky, so on the way back up here, we stopped at a gas station to fill up gas. It was like 11 or so at night. It was 39 degrees, and earlier that morning it had been 80, so the 40-degree temperature drop wasn't very fun. But other than that, we had a great, really good time. But let's get into the book I wanted to talk about today, and that is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. And if you can see it, this is book 1 in the Expanse series. I think there's 8 or 9 books in this series so far. But this is the first book, and I really loved it. I did a buddy read on this one with my friend JP Pruitt, and I'll put a link to his channel down in the description. I've actually heard about this book on his channel. I think he talked about it in a book haul video, and he described it as Game of Thrones set in space. And I commented on there, I love Game of Thrones, so that sounded super dope. And I commented on his video saying that, and we ended up doing the buddy read together. And we're probably going to buddy read the whole series together, one book at a time. But this book was awesome. I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's sort of a fantasy, sci-fi, noir mixed all together. But as far as the sci-fi aspects go, I really enjoyed that it wasn't sort of, everything is shiny and brand new, pristine and clean sci-fi. It was more of a gritty, realistic, things are broken, they need fixing all the time, that sort of sci-fi, which I really liked. So I don't think it ever has or mentions, what time this is set in, like what year it is or anything like that. But it does take place in our solar system, Earth, Mars, asteroid belt, Saturn, and all that. But it is set sometime in the future, but all the technology in the book does seem like technology we could actually have in 500, 1,000 years from now. It all seemed really grounded and realistic for what we could actually achieve. There's an engine called the Epstein drive, which is how they're able to travel interplanetary around. We can't reach the stars yet. They're still too far away, so we don't have like light speed or anything in the book. But even with the interplanetary travel, it still takes weeks or months to get from place to place. So it's not like quick, like warp speed or light speed or anything like that, which I liked. And with that high G-force pushing on them to be able to get from place to place, the people have to get pumped full of drugs to keep them from stroking out and bleeding out and getting their bodies crushed. So it's all very realistic and grounded, and does seem like this could be actual technology we could achieve, a couple 100 years, 1,000 years from now, which I really enjoyed. I liked how gritty and realistic it felt. But like I said, the sort of the setting is humans. We've colonized Mars and the asteroid belt, and we sort of have stations built in asteroids around Saturn and whatnot. But the book is really written from 2 different perspectives. There's James Holden. He's an XO on a water hauler called the Canterbury, and they basically get huge glacier-sized chunks of ice from the asteroid belt and ship them to different space stations out in the belt where humans have colonized, and they're melted down for drinking water. And then the other perspective is from Detective Miller, He's a police detective, and in this book he is assigned sort of a missing persons case. There's a girl named Julie at Mayo. She comes from a rich family, but she sort of went against her family, what they wanted, and sort of went out on her own. And her family is paying basically for her to be kidnapped back and brought back home. And that's Detective Miller's job, is to track her down, find her, and basically kidnap her and send her back to her parents. So I'm going to try not to spoil anything. I'm going to be talking about is basically on the back of the book. So it's going to be a brief review. I don't really want to get into spoilers because I did really enjoy the book. And if you're into sci-fi, sort of noir, I really think you should check it out. I recommend it. But Detective Miller and XO Holden, their stories eventually intertwine with sort of this conspiracy theory with having to do with the different planets, Earth and Mars, and these different corporations. And there's some secret that they find that could change, the galaxy forever and the human existence, the human race forever. And they're both intertwined in that story. It says it here on the back of the book. This isn't a spoiler, but Jim Holden's crew comes across a ship called the Scopuli, which is where the secret is found. And Detective Miller is eventually led to the Scopuli in his search for Julie. So that's sort of where they cross paths, and then the story, goes on from there. I don't really want to spoil the rest of the story or anything, but it's super good. I really am looking forward to reading the next book in the series. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm assuming it has to do with the same characters and stuff. I really like the side characters in this as well. Some of the crew from Jim Holden's ship. There's sort of the mechanic Amos was really funny. I liked him. Naomi was a cool character. She was sort of the tech, doing all the technical stuff on the computer. She's always able to fix things. The pilot was cool, Alex. The medic Shed was really cool. Detective Miller has a partner called Havelock, and there's sort of this little bit of racism between people who grew up in the belt, like along the asteroid belt, and people from like Earth and Mars. Their physical bodies are different. People who grew up in the belt grew up with less gravity, so they're usually taller and have longer limbs, and compared to people from Earth who are shorter and stockier and sort of thicker built. So there's sort of that racism where the belt doesn't really like people from Earth and Mars, and vice versa. Earth and Mars doesn't really like people from the belt. And there's these different organizations that are sort of pitted against each other. There's the Earth and Mars Coalition, the UNN, and then there's the OPA, which is the Outer Planetary Alliance, I believe it's called, which is where the belt is. So these political factions fighting against each other. And then there's this secret, like I said, that sort of the MacGuffin of the story, where everyone's trying to get this, and it has, implications for humanity itself and things. So when J.P. Pruitt described, this as Game of Thrones like in space, it is sort of like that with all the political intrigue, the different corporations that are involved and things like that. So that was true, and it also does have a blurb on the front from George R.R. Martin. I didn't know this until I was done with the book, but James S.A. Corey isn't a real person. It's sort of the pen name of two different authors who wrote this book together. And one of them was George R. R. Martin's assistant, I believe, or is still his assistant, maybe. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, this is definitely a 5-star read. I'm looking forward to reading the next book. So Pruitt, if you're watching this, and just let me know down in the comments or hit me up on Twitter or whatever, whenever you want to start the next book. Like I said, 5-star read, sort of sci-fi, noir, fantasy sort of. A really great book. Looking forward to checking out the second one. But if you've read this book, I'd like to hear your thoughts about it down in the comments section, whether you liked it, didn't like it, whatever, just let me know. But again, my name is Brad. Thanks for spending your time with me today, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.